Welcome back to coverage of the third DWC Organizational. If you missed it already, I'm Alex. This is Adam. We're 2/3 of the DWC.
Cam's here. He's just in the background running stuff.
Cam's running the whole tournament. T.O. from the living room.
A smooth brain. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see some exciting matches. Round one of the event. We're just waiting for round one to close out, as we had one match that was a little delayed in getting going.
Yeah, some issues with the Arena Direct Challenge, beyond our control. But I mean, hey, it's still not as bad as a paper tournament where someone's, spinning Divining Top for half an hour after time runs out. So
absolutely, it is the benefit of being able to run these events online through
also
MTG
on
Arena.
bad top. There's a what's crazy though, running these arena tournaments, they're so fast.
They are very fast, which is fantastic.
Last time we had a 6-round event, right? And then plus the top 8. Or somewhere around maybe 5-round event plus the top 8. Today's 6 rounds plus the top 8. And our rounds flew last time. I'm sure as more and more people start playing in the organizationals, as they grow and grow, rounds will be a little longer. But I loved casting on arena tournaments. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. And we have seen the organizational growing from the very first time when you ran it by yourself. And,
in my bedroom, just sitting there running it. Yeah, just desperately trying to interview people, manage setup matches, make sure everyone's pairings were okay. I couldn't have done it without Benson helping in the background, though, who is our winner of the second one. So the first event he played, he lost, in the top 8.
He lost in the finals.
In the finals, sorry. Probably because he was busy helping me and he was distracted. But when he was left to his own devices to play, he was unbeatable.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But he coming from, our players to watch, right? Our previous organizational champion coming off a round 1 loss.
Yeah, taking the 2-0 loss to Tiltman. 1975, Simic
didn't look close.
Dominating.
Actually, crumpling. It looked unreal. Well, it was really just decided by a turn 2 Leaf Kin Druid into a turn 3 Thassa, and that was it. The Thassa got to be left to its own devices to blink everything over and over again to create value, and we just saw Risen Reef into Cavalier into Agent, and it was just too much.
I love that curve. I love everything about that.
Oh,
curve.
Agent, it got milled over. It was a mass manipulation on a Corvold. I mean, either way,
it was fantastic to watch. Let's hop over to our tournament page so we can see where we're at with the round 1 closing out.
Yeah, so we can look at some returning champs. We had Synot, who was a top 8 player in a previous. He's playing Bant.
Playing Bant mid-range, taking down the win 2-1 over the Scrubly.
Scrubly? Yeah, I think so.
Looks like it was a Sultai versus Bant matchup. Mid-range Haymaker going back. This
that
Sultai
deck's
deck
good.
is interesting.
Atris is a house, actually, with Uro. The two of them together do a lot of synergy work.
I've been playing Sultai in Standard, and I've been pling Atris in my main deck, and I've been very impressed with it.
Atris has impressed me a lot. I didn't think it'd be as good as it is, but actually... the menace matters quite a bit, I found, because it can help clean up walkers.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right? Because Birth of Melodus having the 0-4, or maybe a 1-1 from an Arvindale, or all these things that normally brick you. And a lot of the way in which Blue-White Control or other decks like this play out is that they actually sort of protect the queen, right? They stick a Narset into Teferi, and then half your deck is shut off.
Yeah.
And so... Atris is pretty good, actually, at it draws cards, not in the way that Narset can stop.
Yeah.
So
doesn't not the best target to bounce either with Teferi. So
exactly. Yeah. Pass a lot of tests. Sure, it's only it's a 4-mana 3/2. But I mean, the value you get from it, if you're willing to grind, if your deck is set to grind, it's really good.
Yeah, returning top 8 competitor from the second DWC organizational sign-up, bringing Bant mid-range to the table today. Interesting deck. This is an interesting build of the deck, actually. A lot of one-ofs, Thassa's Intervention. Yeah, Gilded Goose and Arboreal Grazer as 1-drops in the deck.
A 1 Dovin's Veto, a 1 Mystical Dispute, 2 Thassa. Yeah, this is a teched-out list.
Birth of Melodus as well. You're... Looking at this list, my immediate thought is you want to be able to beat mono red. You have a lot of early, 1-mana plays that can block. Gilded Goose blocks all the 1-power creatures. Arboreal Grazer completely, blocks all of that stuff. Thrashing Brontodon in the main deck as well is another big toughness creature to be able to play.
Can also kill an Embercleave.
Yeah, this is
an
interesting take on Bant.
Yeah, and I got to give it out. Ytnyt has played in all 3 organizationals, and every time has showed up with a vastly different list, and I mean play style. I think the very first one piloted blue-white aggro to a top 8 finish. Then the one after that, I think, played Simic Food to a top 8 finish.
Yeah.
And is now playing
cleaning up at our events.
Always doing well, top 8s everyone, and plays always a different style of play, a different archetype, approaches the meta completely, differently each time. And I really respect that. I think being able to play different archetypes, aggro, control, mid-range, all these different things comfortably, I think is a, really great skill in Magic, and Ytnyt always comes through.
Yeah, I mean, actually, yesterday was the first WPNQ qualifier for the Wizards Tower, the sponsor of our cast today and sponsor of our podcast. And myself and Ytnyt actually both top 8'd the event to qualify for the PTQ finals.
Right on, man.
Yeah, he's been cleaning up with this Bant mid-range deck. It looks very good.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see a lot of the times the nods to mono red here, whereas a lot of people have cut and moved away in other spaces from a Boreal Grazer. But in this meta for this organizational, I mean, I think he nailed it, right? There's a million mono red decks in this format, and this deck is built to be able to have a chance against it, where sometimes the Bant decks get a little greedier to beat the mirror. They engage in the arms race of playing cards that are good against the mirror, good against other slower, grindier decks, but this deck really respecting mono red.
Absolutely. And that is, the deck I played yesterday and been playing a lot of is Sultai midrange, and that is the one problem matchup in the format. You have game against everything, but mono red is horrible. There was one mono red deck in the event yesterday, the WPNQ qualifier. I played him in the Swiss. It was my only loss, and I got knocked out by him in top 8 as well. And it's just the one deck you just can't beat.
Yeah, the police.
Yeah.
They just show up, man. The fun police. You can't just do your fun, grindy. I mean, yeah, because Atris looks awful, right, against mono red.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I mean, maybe this is deck building consideration I need to put more thought into, maybe add a Boreal Grazers to my deck, Gilded Goose, something like that as early plays that can block. There are routes you can take for sure.
How are our matches looking? Are we almost ready to get this round up?
Looks like we're still waiting on Unversed versus Cheester 88.
Jeez, they are deep in there.
They're deep,
but I don't know when they started on Arena. I know that they had a delay. Maybe we should see if one of them can share. Hold on, let me check the list of people whose we took a list of people whose computers can handle. He said maybe. That usually means that they're on a laptop, and it's gonna be laggy. You want to message him anyway?
Yeah, for sure.
First, and we can see if maybe we can just get this grindy matchup waiting for round 1 to finish. But in the next rounds, maybe we can just play some Arena in the meantime. But
yeah,
ideally we can.
Maybe we could.
I can get most of the.
Looks like they just finished.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we should have round 2 starting shortly. If you have any questions about our takes on deck lists or the metagame, we are reading chat. As we're streaming, we have it open right in front of us on the.
We are on a 5-minute delay, so we won't get back to you immediately. But it's
yeah. Oh, you're saying they're a bit zoomed out on the deck list. Alrighty. Okay, it looks like Unversed has won the match.
all right. Well, let's line up our second round feature as we get things going.
Wait, are we doing giveaways too?
Yeah, so.
Well, what's the deal?
Way to spoil the surprise, but we've got a couple.
I didn't know.
So the Wizards Tower, the best sponsor of this show, has provided us with some Arena codes to give away during the stream. So stay tuned for that. We'll be giving away a couple of those at some point during the event.
We got to give them away to viewers, right?
Yeah, we'll give them away.
Oh yeah, we'll give some Arena codes away to viewers. Yeah. That's amazing. It's a free tournament with prizes, and we're giving away Arena. That's unbelievable.
I mean, I don't want to toot our own horn a little too much, but we are the best. I know.
Oh, yeah, that's actually insane. All right, yeah, we're just getting second round lined up here. Looking forward to some more tournament standard Magic. I don't know. Like I said earlier before we were just lining up the round one, I'm really excited about Standard right now. I think the gameplay is really interesting. I think the decks, the diversity is there, but they're all really strong, and I think it comes down to decisions made, not just matchup dependent. I don't think it's a rock paper scissors metagame where I'm playing Jund in Modern and I get lined up against Tron. Okay, I can never win, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like a lottery as far as that goes. It feels like you actively have to make these decisions that really affect your gameplay. So I really enjoy this. I think the format lines up, really well right now. It's one of the best standards we've seen in a while. It really goes to show actually something we've been saying on the podcast for years, which is when mono red is good, the format's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of us play mono red. None of us play aggro, and we're like, yeah, but it's really good for, good for the health of the format.
Yeah.
Keeps things in check, gives some stabilization to the metagame, right? Keeps things sane. Keeps people in check from just casting a billion mass manipulations. All right, I think he said he's good to go, right?
Yeah. Looks like we'll be moving on to round 2 in a second here.
Yeah, we should have all round 1 finished up. Yeah, we got pairings lined up. Who are we featuring here? What deck are we going to have?
We're going to be featuring YT playing Sultai mid-range this round.
Yeah, this is a deck you've been championing.
Yeah, I've actually been working on the list with this player specifically. So
a little favoritism on the coverage here. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but it looks like he's up against Black-Red Knights, which...
Oh, yeah, this is a one-of in the meta here for the tournament.
Yeah, 1 copy of this deck today in the hands of I'm the Chemist. Black-Red Knights closed out the last standard format as the go-to aggro deck.
Absolutely.
We didn't see mono red, but we saw a ton of this strategy.
Did I'm the Chemist top 8 the last organizational with something similar? I feel like this guy top 8'd the last one.
You might be right.
Or he was playing a win and in for the top 8. I think maybe we featured him and he lost a win and in for the top 8 last time. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm the Chemist is a returning organizational player, which you love to see. Love to see the community. The Discord's great for people who are in it or viewers who want to join for the next tournaments. We have the community Discord in which during the organizational is great. It's like being at a tournament, because everybody chats, everybody talks about their matchups, jokes about getting smashed by a time wipe like Kithis did last round.
Yep.
It's really jovial sort of environment in the Discord. I think everybody's really friendly. I mean, how can you not be? It's a free tournament where you get prizes. If you don't win, who cares? It was free.
Exactly.
You're just playing Arena at home.
Yeah. If you at home want to follow around along with the event beyond just the stream, you can pull up the tournament page yourself by hitting !tournament in the chat. You can follow along with the event there. Looks like we're getting this match ready to go.
Yeah, should be on the way here. Just getting our share screen lined up. We should be off to the races momentarily for the beginning of our round 2 play. Oh, look, good quality too. Nice. I love when people have good internet connections and video cards. Yeah, I'm really excited to see the bug mid-range list play out. I think this deck's a lot of fun. Enjoy mid-range lists. They usually make for fun matches because of the way they play out. So should be an interesting matchup. What's playing against the bug list again?
Playing against Black-Red Knights.
Oh, yeah, Black-Red Knights, yeah. I don't know. We just looked at it. Instantly forgot. Right, yeah. Ah, man, yeah, that's curious. I mean, that Black-Red Knights, though, is the deck that can just have an insane draw.
Yeah, I mean, a big problem for the Sultai deck is the aggressive decks, the low-to-the-ground aggressive decks, mono-red being a bad matchup. So I would assume Black-Red Knights is in the same category.
Yeah. For those in chat, yeah, if you !tournament, it'll show the results. It'll show the standings, pairings. You can see who you're playing against. Many of the players playing in our rounds are just running their connection through the Smash GG page. So Yeah, pretty convenient, apart from, Arena not having a way for us to view a tournament and having to screen share through Discord. But yeah, it looks like our match is just underway now. Looks like they're loading in for our Bug mid-range or Sultai mid-range versus Black Red Knights. A really aggressive low to the ground version, Fervent Champion. What is the menace that draws a card? What is that guy? What's it called?
Stormfist Crusader.
Yeah, that's the name. Yeah, that card's actually quite strong.
Yeah. I think this Knights deck is going to provide a lot of problems to NYT in this matchup. Let's take a look at this Knights
pull up
deck
this
again.
list while they're loading in? But yeah, it's a Rotting Regisaur list too. Yeah, they're just trying to figure out their pairings here.
We'll just
pull up the list and take a
hop down to our
quick
main screen here.
And then just have yeah, so they're just figuring out their pairings here. But this is the list that you think is going to give problems to the Bug mid-range deck. And because you've played a lot of Bug mid-range, you've played a bunch on ladder, you've played a bunch in paper, you sort of probably have a pretty, solid understanding of how these matchups play off. And I think one of the things you acknowledge is that these really aggressive low to the ground decks can be a problem for you, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They get onto the board too quick, and you have a lot of very clunky draws as you're playing tons of 5 and 6 drops in your deck, and sometimes you just can't get your mana into play quick enough to be able to compete with the early aggression from these decks.
Yeah, I mean, my other follow-up is, how do you beat an early Rotting Regisaur?
Well, YT has come to the table with 4 copies of Tyrant Scorn in his main deck today.
That helps a lot.
He has built his deck with the aggressive decks in mind. So we'll see if that can pay off. This starting hand looks great. We have early plays.
I think you got to lead with the Fable. I like that decision. I think you got to lead with it and just get the island, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I dislike... I'm torn on this. How do you feel about this? Fetching right away to, save time instead of end of turn.
I mean...
What's the value here?
Yeah.
Because now we gotta just go for this Thought or Azure.
Yep. Thought or Azure for YT. Let's see what I'm the Chemist is holding on to. Lots of 2 drops. This is a pretty aggressive hand. No third land for the Rotting Regisaur. It'll be interesting to see what YT decides to go for.
This is tough. It depends what you're worried about, but I feel like you're going to have to use Tyrant Scorn on just random stuff to not die in time. Mm-hmm. And a follow-up Rotting Regisaur or Spawn of Mayhem is too tough, so maybe taking those is really wise. And I don't mind taking the Spawn here. And I now like binning this land. Yeah, that Thought or Azure looking really, really good. Mm-hmm. That card's been really good for you in this deck, right?
Yeah, Thought or Azure has been fantastic. A lot of the Sultai list I started with playing Paradise Druid and Growth Spiral as 2 drops, but moved mostly away from those in favor of Tyrant Scorn and Thought or Azure's Agonizing Remorse as your 2-drop plays, because, believe it or not, in your Sultai, mid-range ramp deck, just casting a discard spell on turn 2 just feels way better than casting a Growth Spiral.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I believe it. I believe it. Okay, this Tyrant Scorn is going to be unreal.
I'm the Chemist going for the pump on the Knight of the Ebon Legion and heading right to combat, coming in for 7 points of damage. Tyrant Scorn going to come down on the 4/5 Knight of the Ebon Legion to brunt the aggression a bit. 3 points of damage. YT's down to 12.
Well, we get to play out this Pelucranos, I think, and that's hopefully going to be a bit of a wall. The problem is that we know about the Black Lance Paragons, which makes our...
Well, this is interesting because Pelucranos prevents damage, correct? Am I thinking about how its text lines up?
Oh, does it work? Does it stop Black Lance Paragon?
I think it doesn't. It prevents the death touch damage.
Oh.
So Pelucranos actually looking pretty good.
I would have to hover Pelucranos and see. I can't remember how that ruling lines up. If it stops the Paragon here, that's actually so good. I think you just got to jam it.
So if damage would be dealt to Pelucranos while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove that many +1/+1 counters for it. So death touch, not a consideration.
Wow, that's actually so good. So if we pump this knight, though, yeah, we can just free block the knight, right? From what we know in hand. Because a pump on the knight makes it... Oh, a little bit of a glitch here on the share screen. Yeah, I wonder if he knows, though. This is when you need a judge question. This is why you need judges. And he's still in digital Magic because you're like, wait, I don't know how this works. I think you do it, though. I don't know if he remembers or if he knows. Because that knight, the Knight of the Ebon Legion block is free.
Yep. Blacklands Paragon coming down.
Or he's trying to bait in this maybe on the first strike. Death Touch. I don't know.
Both of them hitting the table. Fervent Champion hits the bin. 1 counter off the Polukranos. And now you're looking pretty good.
This Polukranos is just insane. Holy smokes. The one is a 1 of 2 in his list, isn't it? Or did he bring 2?
He brought 2 copies today.
Oh, wow. Because it is looking like something else. This card looks like an absolute house here. Oh, my.
With how my event went yesterday and thinking about your thoughts on Polukranos from the last podcast, I am all on board with playing multiple copies of Polukranos.
Yeah, I think it does a lot of work. I like topping the Fabled Passage here with the idea of, I think we're planning on playing a big Hydrate Crisis the next turn, a 4/4 Crisis.
YT goes for the fight on the Knight of the Ebon Legion, and now this 4/4 Polukranos is holding down the ground.
The other potential here, I mean, I said it before, though, one of the problems is that Rotting Regisaur is...
Does this attack... Looks like we have a chump attack into the Polukranos. Unfortunately for I'm the Chemist, that Polukranos is still around with 1 counter, meaning it can straight up trade for the other Blacklands Paragon.
I wonder why they're so patient, it feels like, with the Rotting Regisaur, but maybe you're worried about another Tyrant Scorn. I don't know. I think I would jam it there, but maybe you just want to get some more cards in your hand with the Stormfist Crusader. It's tough. This game has had a lot of interaction at the early level, although Polukranos feels like it just shut down an entire part of I'm the Chemist deck. It just shut off the Blacklands Paragon because of the way Polukranos is worded. That's so powerful. Yeah, this Polukranos has completely shut down the aggression for I'm the Chemist. Although YT is down to 7 life, so we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, we're an Embercleave on a Rotting Regisaur away from this game ending, right? Never forget that, an Embercleave on a Rotting Regisaur changes how entire games play out. So,
So YT going towards Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. This turn, gains 3 life, draws a card.
This is a tough one. This game is close. I think I like the play if the plan here is to block Polukranos on the... Oh, you can. It has Menace. I was going to say, if it didn't have Menace, you could block and then fight the Blacklands Paragon.
Yeah, no blocking on the Stormfist Crusader.
This is... Yeah...
All right, I'm the Chemist coming in with both the Crusader and the Paragon. We're going to see this Polukranos hop in front of the Blacklands Paragon, it looks like.
But do we have enough cards in the graveyard to be able to cast this Uro? Because that Uro will trade with the Rotting Regisaur. So this is going to be a close one. Man, if he draws Embercleave, though.
Embercleave's going to close this one out very, very quickly.
If there's an Embercleave, the game ends this turn. But... I don't know. I'm so curious. This has been a really close game. I mean, it was only close on the back of Polukranos.
Well, it looks like we have enough to bring back Polukranos or bring back Uro.
Yeah.
YT going towards getting this Uro into play.
Just wants to gain some life.
Gain that immediate life, or maybe reconsidering.
Looks like we're changing our mind.
What would you rather have, a 12/12 massive boy or a 6/6 and 3 life?
I mean, neither one loses to Embercleave, so I take the Polukranos. Right? Because you're dead to Embercleave no matter what.
Yeah.
I think. A 12/12. I don't know if you're dead to Embercleave. You go to 6.
Well, you would die. You would die to the Stormfist Crusader holding that Embercleave.
Yeah.
This play sets you up to clean up your opponent's board next turn.
Okay, well, there's no Embercleave, so as long as we fade the Embercleave draw, this looks like it could be a lock for this. The power of this Polukranos just on display this game, though. My lord. It looks so good. Tamio not looking super great in this matchup.
No. Murderous Rider.
Murderous Rider also.
Cleaning up the Polukranos.
Wow, that was a close one, though. It looks like the Stormfist Crusader, just being able to churn through the aggressive deck, was able to find the pieces it needed in order to push through that damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are you looking for post board? You've played this deck quite a bit. What do you want to bring in? Obviously, the Enter the God Eternals, I think, for our first one.
Enter the God Eternals, Lovestruck Beast are all going to be in my deck for the next game. We're going to get out our clunky spells. Casualties of War, probably getting that one out of here. I'd get Liliana out of the deck as well. And we just want some cheap interaction, ways to clean up the board. Massacre Girl, love that card in the main deck. I'd probably consider bringing in the Eat to Extinction as well.
Yeah, you might want the Eat to Extinction just for the Regisaurs and the Spawn of Mayhems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I'd trim Nissa, who shakes the world in this matchup as well, as that card's going to be a little bit clunky in the early game.
Okay, so your game plan, you think, is to just sort of win with the Uro, right? Just sort of,
yeah,
you'll grind them out. That makes sense if you're going to bring an Eat to Extinction too. That way you have some instant speed interaction to be able to deal with, let's say, an Embercleave.
Yeah.
Right? Instant speed removal, actually really good in a world of Embercleave, you know?
Yeah.
Helps buy some time for these mid-range decks. So I like the argument. And you're probably not getting, that early of an Embercleave. So it could be quite useful, yeah. I'm always just terrified of Embercleave.
Yeah. Embercleave is the worst card for you. And now, this matchup's interesting because it's something like mono red. You would snap put your Aether Gust in the main deck as it's a way to keep yourself from dying for a turn from Embercleave.
Yeah.
But this matchup, Aether Gust not at its best, as a lot of the threats are black.
Yeah, it's awkward.
So
I don't think you bring it in.
You have the less targets, but it really depends how worried about Embercleave that you are.
Yeah, it's close, but I mean, it could just look so bad if it's stuck in your head and you're just dying to a Knight of the Ebon Legion. I don't know, but I do like the idea of shaving some Nissa. I would keep Lily over Nissa just because of the minus. I could see games where the minus is so helpful in this matchup. I don't think against mono red, but I think because they have Annex and other things. But against this matchup where they have like Spawn and Mayhem, Rotting Regisaur, they're a little higher maybe, that they don't get value when things die, whereas mono red does. I think that's a benefit. I would keep this though, even though it's risky. You're on the play. You might be able to just slam a fast Nissa.
Mm-hmm. This hand lines up a turn 4 Nissa.
And if you draw something like a Krasis, if it lives. But it's risky. It's risky. I mean, you're playing against a deck with Fervent Champion and Knight of the Ebon Legion. What if they go one drop, and, Embercleave you on turn 3 against...
Yeah, you're not beating the very aggressive hands from I'm the Chemist in that situation. And it looks like YT sends it back and... Not looking at a very good 6-card hand here.
It's like you said, maybe the casualties. Yeah, you had to board out the casualties, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's close. It's tough. Yeah, this matchup's weird. It plays out so much differently than mono red.
I mean, looking at this hand specifically, I think I would want this casualties to be an Aether Gust, even in that situation, right?
This hand is a stinker.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
It's not looking good for YT in this one. No 1-drop for I'm the Chemist. So
hey, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're not out of it. Stormfist Crusader.
Wait, that actually might be good for us.
Actually the 2-drop that I feel like YT is very happy to see in this situation.
Also, I should say us. I just used to speaking in Twitch chat form, I guess, of how we approach matches from watching streams or something. But I'm not rooting for anyone. I don't really care. I just want to see good games. But this one might be a tough game. I mean, on the plus side, we get this Uro. We go get an island. We gain some life. Maybe this Stormfist Crusader buys us enough time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out because that opener was not looking good, but
still not looking good. We needed to hit lands.
Yeah, really only play this turn is to put this Uro down and hopefully draw into a land.
Yeah. Yeah, this is tough. This is looking like a tough out. I might have not been as high on Bone Crusher Giant. I wasn't even that high, but I wasn't making bets against it. But, man, the modal power of that card is something else, actually. Just a 3-mana 4/3 here, which is hilarious. And it's like you would never play a 3-mana 4/3 in Standard, right? If it was just a 3-mana 4/3. But,
yeah,
there are times where it's good enough.
No lands for YT off the Uro draw and off the Stormfist Crusader draw.
You're about to get Embercleaved back to the Stone Age here.
Yeah,
I think you're going to take 12 here.
YT coming to the tournament today with 27 lands in his main deck. I've been playing 28.
Really? That deck is super. Yeah, I knew that cleave was coming. It's super. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, we're gonna be closing out this one pretty quickly.
Is over. You actually can come back. don't even have a black source for this Tyrant Scorn. Like, there's nothing, literally nothing you can cast. Right? Like, you're just...
YT's going to go towards Heart's Desire and Lovestruck Beast, but this Ember Cleave is going to close things out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's
you can't block the Crusader.
Oh, well, I mean, we just had a million cards anyways. The aggro deck. Wow, Black-Red Knights actually just stomped.
Yep. Well, I mean, like I said, the aggressive decks are not a good matchup for the Sultai strategy.
And there's a million aggro decks in the field today. Real lot of aggro.
I mean, YT's deck not really cooperating with them.
No kidding.
But
that was one of the more unlucky starts we've seen so far today out of the 4 different games we've seen. That was a beating. Yeah, that was a tough one. We got another backup match.
Yeah, I'm just going to line up this backup match here.
And we should be back in it. But I got to say, despite the Sultai deck just not even remotely cooperating, just a horrible, like a risky 7. So we mull it, sure. Because I think you got to have a really good hand post board to win that match. So I think that mull was actually fine because the double growth spiral Nissa was super risky. Yeah, it turned out that it would have been okay, actually. But, I mean, you never know. The mull was right. The mulligan decision was correct, I think. It's tough. And then our keep at 6 was not great, and it was just miserable. I mean, and the game 1 was so close. It was tough. The Plukernos did so much heavy lifting, but it just wasn't enough, actually. The power of Stormfist Crusader really coming through in that matchup, actually just quite surprising how powerful it was. So it looked really, really good. I was really impressed with Stormfist Crusader there out of the Black-Red Knights. Didn't look like he had mana issues either.
No.
And just stomped. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Deck was really, really powerful. Looked really good. Yeah. So we're going to move into one of our backup matches. We got a Bant versus a Clover match. Or is this a Clover matchup? Yep.
Yeah.
Bant versus
Teamer Clover. Bant in the hands of Ytnyt. Gold Dragon bringing Teamer Clover.
3 lucky Clovers on the board. That's a heap. Can't wait to see where this match goes. This is game 1, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like we've got a bunch of cards on Adventure for Gold Dragon, and a Fling and an Expansion of Explosion has been taken out of his sideboard with a Granted from a Fae of Wishes. But, I mean...
We're at 32.
Ytnit's down at 32 life, and Gold Dragon's at 7, so... Gonna need to find a way to close out this game pretty quickly, as we've got a pretty loaded hand right now on the Bant mid-range side of things.
Oh yeah, those are 2 potentially gigantic crises. Someone in our Discord got to the bottom of this, but I can't remember the crisis question. Somebody got to the bottom of it, and I can't remember. Maybe in chat somebody can let me know. But yeah, this is a stacked match. Both players here with just firepower in their hands. What do you think is the sort of trump card here that beats it? That sort of swings the matchup in either way, right? I feel like killing a huge crisis can be really tough.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck on the Teamer Clover side of things to just petty thefting it back to hand, which is not always the thing you want to be doing against a crisis. It's tough because Bant mid-range, you don't have a lot of great targets for your ECDs. I mean, this Beanstalk Giant is a decent target.
Sure, yeah, of course.
But, you can't clean up Lucky Clover. Lucky Clover is a hard card to get off the battlefield, as well as Edgewall Innkeeper.
Absolutely. And they do so much lifting. They let the Rug Clover, the Teamer Clover deck, just grind out so much value over time. And absolutely one of the hardest parts of playing a blue-white control, because Glass Casket isn't very popular in lists anymore. It's just answering these 1-mana 1/1s, it really comes down to having Shatter the Sky is usually the sort of defining card.
It looks like this might be it, as we're sacrificing the 14-power Beanstalk Giant with the Fling and expansioning it to come across for 28 damage, and it looks like that Bone Crusher Giant in hand
is going to finish. We had the combo kill.
Finish this game out.
I didn't even see it. I was busy just talking about the matchup, and I didn't even see that. Actually, you just had lethal.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, triple Lucky Clover just feels like cheating, right? I mean,
32 life points, no problem for the Teamer Clover.
Zeroed them. Wow. Gold Dragon out here just styling, flexing on a game 1 that looked wild. I'm kind of bummed we missed at the beginning. But wow, from 32, staring down an Euro, yeah, whatever, don't matter. Expansion, explosion. You take 32. That's unreal from the Teamer Clover. It looks like we're having a bit of lag issues here. Bound to happen.
Yeah.
All right, what do you like here from the sideboard here for Synod? What's good against Clover? I mean, the Brontodon, obviously, right?
Yeah, we're going to get some Brontodons in. I mean, I don't really think you want Dispute. Not a lot of good blue targets. Aether Gust makes sense. I really just want ways to get Lucky Clover off the board, but I don't see too many of those, if any.
Veto is actually not bad. I don't mind Veto as a choice if you're going to try and grind the game out to the end, because a Dovin's Veto there would have been huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So Dovin Veto, pretty strong. Yeah, one of the problems, though, with the Teamer deck is if they can get the setup where they have Clover and then enough mana. I mean, this is, again, a super mana-hungry deck in Standard, right? But if they can get to the point where they have a ton of mana and they can Lucky Clover plus Fae of Wishes, they basically just get to do whatever they want. They're breaking the game in some ways, right? Having access to all these sideboard cards, just so powerful, just does so much. The Teamer Clover deck, super fascinating deck. It felt like, in the season, maybe last year around this time, was it that long ago? People were playing the Esper deck in the arena tournaments with, what was the card that let you go get sideboard cards in Esper? Do you remember?
Mastermind's Acquisition.
Yeah, Mastermind's Acquisition.
Yeah.
Remember when people were playing that?
Yeah.
And when it was good and it had answers to the format, it just felt unbeatable, right? Remember, it ran that tournament. Mm-hmm. Mono Red was the only thing that stood a chance. But Clover, feels like it does something similarly so powerful in that it just has sideboard options for game one, which just does so much. Like going to get your fling there in your expansion just does so much work.
Yeah, I mean, the Clover deck has that combo finish to be able to steal a win out of nowhere, essentially. And, I think Synod's fighting a bit of an uphill battle here, as not many ways to answer a resolved Lucky Clover. And
no, that's the problem. This is no different from playing Teamer Clover versus Blue-White, right? When you play in the Blue-White control matchup, it's miserable. Because you can't get Clover off the board. They get too much value. They grind you out. Yeah, and also, I mean, Edgewall Innkeeper it's hard to kill, and it's a cast trigger, so counters don't really matter.
Yeah, you don't have cheap removal spells like the Sultai deck has access to. Really, the only way you're getting an Edgewall Innkeeper off the board is you're bouncing it with Teferi or you're casting Shatter the Sky, and I mean, those aren't really the best ways to be dealing with a 1 mana card draw engine.
Yeah, for sure. I keep this hand all day, every day.
Yeah, that opener did not look too good, but this one looks like a keeper.
Only because you can theoretically just, maybe if you draw even another land, you could play the Thrashing Brontodon on an early turn. You could theoretically play it on turn 2 if you draw.
Yeah, need an untapped land.
And just maybe you have to win this by just playing a 3/4 on turn 2 and just attacking.
Yeah.
And just bouncing with Teferi to buy time, because I don't know that you can win against Teamer Clover going late.
You're not going to be able to outgrind them with all the card advantage.
I don't like playing that there. I would have bottomed that. I would have played the Temple so that we have double green. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You mean you would have put the Temple of Mystery into play over the Temple of Enlightenment?
Yeah, because if you draw an untapped land, you can, like, if you had drawn that, if you'd bottomed the Dovin's Veto, which I would have, you would have had it here, and you would have had the turn 2 Brontodon. I mean, I'm gambling, but I think that matchup is this bad. Mm-hmm. Like, I think your matchup is this tough. Although I do like this, the Dovin's Veto looking really good.
This is lined up pretty well for Synod, being able to deal with that Lucky Clover, which we mentioned is a key part of this matchup. Teferi Time Raveler are going to hit play.
Yeah, I wonder what we go for here. I like the plus. Yeah, because you don't want to just lose it for no reason to a stomp from a bone crusher giant. So I
think I would have went in for 0 damage with that Arboreal Grazer there, just to send a message.
Yeah, that's a massive punt. Not sending in the Arboreal Grazer, actually just throwing away value. You hate to see somebody just spewing value.
Petty Theft bounces Teferi Time Raveler back to hand. It looks like we're just going to get a rinse repeat of the same play.
I wonder if at this point, though, you now draw a card because you're greeting for this Cavalier. I would consider it.
Yeah. Looks like Synod decides to plus Teferi Time Raveler. Still not getting in with that Grazer, though. I think these are just missed opportunities.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Oh, it looks like somebody in chat talking about how they robber of the rich to Teferi. So now they don't count as a mono red player anymore. Ooh, these are the turns that the
Lucky Clover hits the table and then double stomp comes down to knock Teferi Time Raveler down to 1 loyalty.
But there's no cards in the Rug player's hand. I wonder how much value you get by just killing the Lucky Clover again right away. Just if your game plan is just keep them off Clover and they probably can't grind enough to kill me, I actually think that's a really smart way to play this matchup.
Yeah, it looks like Ytnyt decides that he agrees with you. Playing the Thrashing Brontodon, getting that Clover off the table, Teferi up to 2 loyalty. Back to Gold Dragon.
Missing our 5th land here, though, is just actually it's really, really tough for the, Cavalier Thorns sitting in hand. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I would have greeted for the Teferi minus, but it looks,
another 5 mana play off the top of the deck for Ytnyt, so not going to be able to play anything this turn. Just going to have to sit back, hold up Mystical Dispute, and pass the turn back to Gold Dragon.
This Mystical Dispute actually might get a huge amount of value.
We get a block here on the Grazer, so we get to keep our Teferi on turn, which forces Gold Dragon to, play on his own turn. So that's Brazen Borrower is going to eat this Mystical Dispute.
I'm countering this instantly. Yeah, I like this. This is a good decision, I think, because now...
Plains off the top of the deck allows us to cast Nissa, who shakes the world. Unfortunately, it's not a 3rd green source, so Cavalier of Thorns is going to have to wait for at least 1 more turn.
Yeah, if Nissa survives, though, at least we're going to be able to, double green from Nissa to be able to cast this Cavalier. We might actually be able to steal this game, or I should say Ytnyt, might be able to steal this game from Gold Dragon based solely on the back of sort of taking out those 2 early Clovers. The Dovin's Veto was really clutch. I wouldn't have waited like that, and I probably would have lost this game. I wouldn't have made that decision. And the patience here and confidence that, if I could just keep Clover off the board, it'll give me a window of time to be able to perhaps do something powerful, I think was a really good decision, actually.
Yeah, it has definitely worked out for Ytnyt so far. Let's see what Gold Dragon can get going as only Bone Crusher Giant in play, facing down 2 Planeswalkers.
It's absolutely been a strange mid-game. Mm-hmm. Both stuck on lands, both really not able to quickly perform the sort of powerful plays that you would expect out of these decks. Both sort of stopping their initial game plans, right? And so we'll have to see what their follow-ups are. This is something we talked about last episode on the podcast, right? About sort of if you can stop your opponent's plan A, what's your follow-up, right? And it looks like both are sort of or at least Ytnyt is really interfering with the game plan from Clover, and has done so in a really successful fashion, because now this Cavalier Thorns is going to do a lot of work, and then Lord knows what can happen if we draw Krasis on the follow-up sometime, right? Then we just use this Nissa to power out something that might just steal the game. This is really close, and stopping those Clovers was probably right. Otherwise, we would have got a double Fey.
Yeah. So looks like Gold Dragon goes towards Once of Future out of the sideboard. Wants to pick up maybe a Lucky Clover to be able to establish an engine. Cavalier of Thorns comes down for Ytnyt. We're going to mill some cards, put a land into play, and come across for 3 more damage by plussing this Nissa. It's looking pretty good.
It's a really, really, really good start. Most of the Bant control or mid-rangey decks don't really play Cavalier of Thorns, and just having that pressure plus the Nissa actually looks like it gives it some power here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cavalier looking really good in the bank control list. Again, just a nod. This is a nod to the aggro and more creature-based metagame we've seen in the organizational. So, again, like I said this before when we were going over deck lists, I thought that Ytnit's list was really well tuned. Mm-hmm. And I think we're seeing that on display with something like Cavalier Thorns, which, if you look at ladder or sort of generic lists, you don't really see it that often.
No.
So, yeah, looking really good here. And, of course, it's a good combo with Uro.
Yeah, absolutely. Plays very well with Uro. Unfortunately, it runs into, the Elspeth Conquers Death problem, which is
what
it. But
doesn't?
It does gain you the immediate value if you're playing Uro in your deck. So, not all is lost.
Yeah. See him not having a lucky, Gold Dragon not having, Gold Dragon not having a Lucky Clover there. Mm-hmm. So big for you, right? Because one of the ways this deck really wins, because we talked about how mana hungry it is, right? Is that when they're able to Lucky Clover and then cast the Beanstalk Giant to go search for lands, doubling that up and then playing another spell, because the lands come into play untapped.
Yeah.
Right. It's a huge part of the deck. And so, yeah, I just can't believe how good shutting off those 2 early clovers was. I felt like it just completely warped the shape of this whole matchup, which, again, is something, we talked about at length on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Gold Dragon passes the turn back to Ytnyt, and it looks like we're going to be coming across from 11 points of damage. And we're getting down Gold Dragon down to 3 life. It's going to be really tough for them to claw back into this one.
Yeah, this one's tough, especially we have this Teferi here, stopping any sort of, trickery with a Brazen Borrower, petty theft. Mm-hmm. There's no Clover. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what we can get here. I don't know. I'm trying to think what kind of tricks that the Teamer adventure deck can pull out of its sleeve here, or its hat, to get out of this, because this is a tough spot for sure.
I mean, we did see Gold Dragon steal that win out of nowhere in the last game, but I think they're a little too far behind in this one to be able to get back into it. No Lucky Clovers in play. It's going to be tough.
No, I don't think they have anything in their deck that gets them out of this. Yeah, I gotta say, Ytnyt played this game super well. Mm-hmm. Just stopping the early power of those Lucky Clovers that lets the Teamer deck snowball out of control, right? It was able to interact with that game 1 plan from this tier 1 deck. And absolutely well played. Really good game 2. Can't wait for game 3.
Yep, we're going to get a game 3 out of it.
I think, though, I probably would say that the Clover deck is favored for game 3.
Why do you say that?
I think just being on the play before something like Dovin's Veto can counter my Lucky Clover, before Thrashing Brontodon can come down and destroy it for 4 mana. All these things are a big problem. I think it's really tough for the control deck to be on the draw. It's possible. It's just tougher, and so it just depends. But I mean, you got to hope they don't have Clover in their opener. I mean, when I play against them, they always do. It's like every time I play against an Esper opponent and they just have Thought Erasure every single time. Never not had it, I'm like, yeah, of course you have it, It's normal. So, not that I ever have it when I play those decks, Mm-hmm. I just get gaslit. I'm like, this deck sucks. And everyone's like, oh, you're just drawing bad. But yeah, I'm not sure what else you want to bring in. I mean, it's all...
Making a few changes. Cut the second copy of Elspeth Conquer's Death. Looks like we're up to 4 Aether Gust for game 3.
Bringing in a heap of counter magic, which I don't mind at all. Because if you can stop petty theft, they don't get the back end of the body, right? Like you got to try and grind them down. I mean, you're the control deck. You got to try and at least stop them from generating these massive heaps of value that they get from Clover. Just preventing them from chipping away at you with creatures. It matters quite a bit. So I actually like that. A lot of interaction here. I think that's the only way you do it, is that they don't really have Clover and you're able to just interact nonstop and stop whatever they're doing before they just, run you over with these adventure cards, which, are essentially all 2-for-1s.
Yep. The first couple turns of this game are going to be very important for Ytnyt, as a turn 2 Clover's going to put you on the back foot right away, and you're not going to be able to line up your Dovin's Veto like you alluded to.
Oh, I'm keeping this, though.
Looks like we've got a good start here.
It's not insane. We need to draw some lands. But if we hit some running lands, we get an early Cavalier. I was really impressed with Cavalier last game. I think it does a lot in this deck. It was really impressive. And so I think a fast Cavalier helps buy you enough time to be able to start disrupting. Because if there's a turn 2 Clover here, this one's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very difficult to fight back from the advantage that early Clover is going to provide.
And I feel like Gold Dragon played super well in that game.
Looks like Gold Dragon's on a multi 5 though, so
no Clover. Probably
we may not see that turn 2 Clover. Teferi off the top gives
that's big.
Ytnyt a turn 2 Teferi if he wants to go towards that.
This looks like a really good draw. I think you want to go for the turn 2 Teferi to start churning through deck to find lands, because if your opponent mulled to 5, we want to just start putting the pressure on him as fast as we can. The question here is, though, do you run the Teferi out into a possible Mystic Dispute here?
Ytnit's going for it. Teferi resolves.
Ticking up, too.
Yeah.
And then perhaps, yes.
Oh, coming in for the attack. You love to see it.
There it is.
You absolutely love to see it.
Yeah. Beanstalk Giant, pretty good here, though. But I wonder, I mean, now this is interesting, right? I mean, you don't even have to minus the Teferi if you don't want. We found our land drop, as the Bant player. You can just sort of wait now, maybe. It's tough. Yeah, it's still, Clover can come back, because the thing is, this Bant deck doesn't have a ton of pressure. But this Cavalier of Thorns is, I think, going to do some heavy lifting if it resolves.
Yeah, really just looking for that 5th land now on its side of the battlefield. And Gold Dragon really just needs to start establishing a battlefield or some sort of, draw engine.
Oh, this missed dispute.
Dispute here on the Petty Theft is very backbreaking.
Yeah, this is a multi 5 into getting disputed on your Brazen Boar, or actually a beating.
Looks like we have a follow-up Petty Theft, so that Teferi is going to head back to Sanat's hand.
And now Gold Dragon doesn't know it, but what you're praying for here is that your Bant opponent misses their 5th land, but best possible one on.
Fabled Passage off the top means we're going to be seeing either Nisha, who shakes the world, or Cavalier of Thorns coming down this turn.
What do you like here?
I'm getting Nissa into play, absolutely.
Yeah, frames. Someone in chat noted the frames are pretty rough here. That's not on our end on the stream, for the record. Our stream quality is good. It's just, when you're playing a match, trying to share screen over Discord, most people don't have the same setup we do. So
yeah,
this is the best we can do until WotC actually gives us in game. Okay, well, that looks not bad, but I'm wondering if this Edge Wall and Brazen Boar was just a bit too late.
Yeah, unfortunately for Gold Dragon, this Brazen Borer can't block a land. Cavalier of Thorns is going to come down.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Absolutely tough. This Nissa is going to do a lot of lifting too, just creating so much value here. Jeez. Actually really good, curve movement here. You're going to be able to play this Teferi.
Finds the untapped Hallowed Fountain off the top with the Cavalier of Thorns. Teferi going to hit the table again.
Yeah, this is so much. Wow, they're putting this Nissa, this Bant deck for a control deck is just putting so much pressure on the Clover deck. Mm-hmm. If you were blue-white, I don't think you could possibly have won this game even on a multi 5 with the way that things played out, but just the amount of pressure that Nissa and Cavalier is putting on the Clover deck is unbelievable.
Yeah, Nissa doesn't leave you too much room to mess around.
All attack. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's just asserting.
Not much makes me happier than watching a Boreal Grazer get in.
Yeah, I don't need this guy. What are you going to do? Yeah, this is tough. Absolute beating for the.
Yeah, I mean, Nissa really puts you on a clock, and any stumble it's going to punish incredibly hard.
Yeah, I mean, Nissa just a busted card.
The Mulda 5 for Gold Dragon, I mean...
Yeah, it's an unfortunate multi 5 in a matchup that I think you're actually favored.
Yeah.
I think the Clover matchup's favored, but I do think that the Bant matchup is way better than the blue-white has against you, but you're still a control deck. The Clover deck, can do what we saw in game 2. Or was it game 1? The end of game 1 yeah. Where, they fling a giant beanstalk,
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do, But here, just the Cavalier and Nissa put way too much pressure on them. I mean, multi 5 though. Yeah. Not surprised. There's not a whole lot. And the Aether Gust on this Bone Crusher to rub it in.
Yeah, Gold Dragon goes for the stomp on the Teferi Time.
And now we don't even get to play our blocker.
Aether Gust says no. We're going to see where this Bone Crusher Giant ends up, but 7 points of left is all we've got left. Life is all we got left for Gold Dragon. This might be the end of it. Brazen Borer can't block anything.
Yeah, it's tough. This Bant deck just had all the pieces.
Yeah, Gold Dragon's forced to cast the Edgewalling Keeper and cast Fae of Wishes for no granted value.
But hey, playing tier out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
they decide they've seen enough, and that's all she wrote. Sign it. Going up 2-0. Yeah. The DWC Organizational, great start for him.
Yeah, just a top 8, return top 8 competitor. Wouldn't be surprised if we see another top 8. Yeah, I wonder if we have any other backup matches going.
Yeah, let's see if I can line up anything.
Maybe we can get Tiltman on here. Yeah, we'll see. We'll try and get another backup match. Let's see who's still going for our various matches.
Looks like Tiltman fan fell to the mono red god himself, P. Sams.
Oh, Philip Samuel. out there policing people. Unreal. Who do we got here who's still playing? I don't. Mini Ron said he could stream. What is this message here that we got? Okay. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out our backup match as we figure out who's still playing. And that was a pretty long match, though. After our first round, we had, or our first match of this round was the Black-Red Knights, which was able to take down Sultai midrange. Tough matchup. We saw Pelukrinos just absolutely try so hard.
He did his very best
to take away a W in game one, but it just wasn't enough. It was close, but the power of Amber Cleaving Creatures and Stormfist Crusader, that matchup seemed tough. It was a Murderous Rider off the top that ended it in the first game, but yeah, that matchup seemed tough. The low to the ground Ember Cleave decks, it can be really, really hard for the Sultai midrange decks, and we saw this sort of slower deck get heavily punished by it. And then we saw Bant Control take away a W versus Clover. Yeah, I mean, Clover I think the boogeyman right now, actually, the format. I think Gold Dragon played it super well, but just an unreal string of interactions from the Bant Control player. Had the Dovin's Veto for the first Clover, had the Thrashing Brontodon for the follow-up, made the land drops before the Clover deck could.
Yeah, it really, the story of that game, too, was Gold Dragon's hand was just really reliant on sticking one of those lucky clovers and wasn't able to get one down. And Synod's Nissa, who shakes the world, just completely punished him.
Yeah, and we said one of the ways is that, one of the reasons the Clover deck's so good is that it's really hard for a lot of decks to interact with Clover. But he had the interaction, and if you stop that game plan, Cavalier, Nissa, right? They just end up doing so much work. They just pulled so much weight in that matchup, something that Blue Eye would be missing. And yeah, just absolutely impressive performance from the Bant deck, which I think is the other sort of tier 1 deck in the format, right?
Yeah.
That I've been talking about. I think the Bant of various builds are really, really powerful.
Yeah, third most played deck in the field today. I mean, Bant midrange, it's been putting up a lot of good results on the arena ladder recently,
but this build of it from Synod, I think for this meta game was really well prepared.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it's just an unbelievable sort of tuned, refined list. I'm really impressed with the list.
You can generally tell that a player has put a lot of time into their list and has spent time tuning it when there's multiple, one-ofs in the deck.
Yeah, it's the one-of test. And it isn't just for fun. It was, okay, well, in this matchup, I might need this at one point to sort of close things out, or, it's like covering a bunch of bases. So, yeah, I thought it was really impressive. Yeah. We were going to try and get Tiltman on stream because we thought the deck was awesome. We were hoping to feature him, but he got fun policed by, as in his own words, Phil Sam's Ember Cleaves.
Embercleave takes no prisoners.
No, I mean, your nice, blue-green ramp deck might look pretty cute versus, other people playing slow, but nice Agent of Treachery versus my Ember Cleaves, It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, it's always tough when the red police show up to make sure that you don't have any fun.
Yeah.
You're sitting there with mass manipulation in hand. It always feels really bad. You just die with it in hand because you're never casting it in time. It's pretty common. So looks like we got a bunch of matches wrapping up. That one went pretty long. It was a long match. The Clover versus Control matchups do usually go pretty long. Even if I think the Clover decks are favored, they're usually ones that take quite a bit of time to go. So pretty common. I'm just kind of chatting away about how the matchups play out here while you're searching for a backup feature match so we can keep this content coming at you at full pace.
See if anybody's still battling. We have a few more matches to close out. It looks like 4 matches still playing. See if I can get one of them.
Trying to see if we can round up somebody to do some backup feature matches so we can keep the content coming at full speed. Getting a couple at 2 or 3 Matches per round has been pretty sweet, though.
Yeah.
It's been nice, keep the content coming. Not too much downtime. Can talk about the matchups and how they break down. Yeah. I mean, there's probably a decent amount of people here going to Detroit or upcoming events. I mean, we're in the WMCQ or whatever.
The WPN qualifiers.
Yeah, WPN, sorry, qualifiers. So we're in that sort of stage where they're standard. A lot of them are standard. This is a great time for standard, so people watching can see how matches play out and try and talk about some of the lists.
So speaking of GP Detroit, I know all of us are going to be heading down. Do you have a deck right now that is your top runner for the event?
No, I can't decide. Part of me just wants to Embercleave. So, man, it's crazy. I don't think it's actually good, but I can't stop winning with it, so I don't know what's happening. But I've been playing this green-red aggro deck, and I think Gruul is not good in most cases. The way people have it built with, you've probably seen the lower to the ground Gruul versions, right? Where it's like a Fervent Champion, Pelt Collector, Gallia.
Yep.
That card's insane. That's the whole reason to play the deck. Like if you're going to play the Gruul deck, but the problem is you're really banking on high rolling a bunch of cards, which is like 1-drops into 1-drops into Gallia, so that you can essentially Ancestral Recall, right? Like it allows you to churn through your deck, but it's a really high roll card, and I think it's too easy to kill, right? It's a 2/2.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. And you play Robber, all the Gruul Spellbreaker. I think Gruul Spellbreaker is not even very good.
It is one of the best creatures to suit up with an Embercleave, though.
That's true because of the absolutely, I agree. But I don't know. I'm not even convinced like Questing Beast is that good in that version because you're so low to the ground with Gallia that you sort of want to just like play 1-drop, 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 2-drop, 2-drop, and then Embercleave them. And that, that's all she wrote. Then they can interact with you too much. And then Questing Beast doesn't feel like it does enough. I don't know. Like I can't decide. And so I've been playing this different green-red version that's probably worse, but I can't stop winning with it, so I don't know. Because when I played the low-to-the-ground Gallia green-red, I couldn't win. And then I switched to playing this random list of, Troll, Barkide Troll.
Barkide Troll, yeah.
Because the hexproof with the first Rowan games. And so if you can set up this combo in the mirror, in the green mirrors, you automatically win. Versus red, you basically automatically win because you have a 6/6 troll that has hexproof, right? Without Wrath, every deck without Wrath, and then your Rowan games is 100% drawing 2 cards.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're able to set this up, and then you Embercleave in the game's just over because you have a giant hexproof guy. Like you can have games where you just go like, if they don't have interaction, you can just luck out and go, troll a Rowan games Embercleave and the game's over because you have a gigantic hexproofed, right?
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, it's really right, and you're playing Lovestruck Beast, so you can have some early 1/1s to help you Embercleave easier, right? Like it does a lot, and you play Growth Chamber Guardian, which is good with the Rowan games because you can put the counters on that. Go tutor more Growth Chamber.
Growth Chambers, yeah.
Yeah, so it just felt like to me it had a lot more resiliency when I played it, and so I liked that more because so many people are gunning for aggro decks right now, and as green-red, as low to the ground green-red Gruul deck, you are just by nature going to suffer the people going after mono red, and you're even worse than them because you're clunkier, your mana's worse, and so I don't like the low to the ground Gruul version. I like the version that's more mid-rangey, that plays like one threat at a time, that's really dangerous. Rowan Games pumps it plays it at different it attacks at different intersections. I'm not convinced it's good, but I just keep winning with it. But I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good because I think what's happening so I think this is what would happen if I played it at GP Detroit. It's like a deck that I'll day 2 with probably, but I can't possibly top 8. Because it'll catch people who aren't really sure what's going on, and then they just get run over. And they're not sure what they should interact with the Rowan games. They're not sure what to bounce with Teferi. They're not sure what's happening, right? And then they get punished because they don't know the deck list, and they just don't know how to play against Troll. They don't know how to manage those things. But good players will figure it out, and will make decisions in games 2 and 3, and then probably beat me because the deck's not good. But even at Mythic on ladder, where I'm playing it, people just make mistakes all the time. Like they forget, for example, that on my upkeep, they kill my, Questing Beast or something, and my Rowan games is about to be on the chapter where you draw 2 cards if you control power 4 or greater. But I also have a Growth Chamber Guardian, and they think, oh, they're safe, and then just in your upkeep, or with the trigger on the stack, you just activate the Growth Chamber Guardian. Now you draw your cards, and you go get a Growth Chamber Guardian.
Yeah,
like you can grind out a lot of value. That's hard for people to sort of see when they're not paying as much of attention, because you're used to being able to grow Wratham game's over, right? But this deck version felt, I don't know, a lot more resilient to me. And I'm so tempted to play it, but I know I won't win. I know that I'll go like 11-4 at best.
Hey, 11-4 is not bad. That's good for a fractional invite.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. If I was aiming for a fractional invite as opposed to a top 8 finish, I would play it and be like fairly confident I could just cruise my way to a victory just because.
Cleave your way.
Yeah, cleave my way through the field. Yeah. But I'm not convinced. So now I have no idea what I'm going to play. The Bant deck looks so good. I want to get a bunch of. I've been playing the Bant deck a bunch, different builds of the Bant deck. Yeah, but the problem is it's so hard to know what I should build it with, what a GP field's going to look like. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. I have no idea. Standard's so diverse, and I think a lot of the decks are really good.
Yeah, I mean, the format's been changing pretty consistently over the past month and a bit. I mean, Teamer Clover just came out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago. No one was playing that deck. Now everybody is. You know, I think there's still a lot of room for, you know, new strategies to pop up in this format. I mean, look at this metagame here. 40 players, 18 different decks.
Yeah, it's insane.
18.
I know, yeah, it's nuts. I mean, we saw black-red aggro just absolutely stomp the Sultai list. And that Sultai list is a list that's been doing super well. Like, people have been playing the Sultai list all over the place. It's been putting up good performances. And when's the last time you see black-red knights?
Last format.
And it rolled them.
Yeah.
Absolutely rolled them. So, yeah, I mean, this standard is so diverse. It comes down to decisions. I think the sign-on match that we just watched, we'll have to, because we're starting to put stuff on our YouTube channel slowly here. We'll have to put that match on the YouTube channel, even if the video quality from the share was a little lower. Just as an example, maybe I'll cut it and edit it so it looks more like a highlight reel of some of the decisions that sign-on made in that game that I thought were just incredible. Like, they played it so well to be able to, you know, clinch a victory from an otherwise really difficult matchup. So
yeah, we'll put up all of our coverage on our YouTube page so people can go back and watch it. So as the VODs won't be around forever.
Yeah, there's only two matches left before we start round 3. So do you want to take a 5-minute break here, grab a drink?
Yeah. We'll take a few minutes and we'll be back for the next round of the DWC Organizational. Stay tuned.
Round 3 starting shortly.